Hey, thanks for coming to check out my video. So today we're looking at the Reddragon K552 budget mechanical keyboard. So the way we're going to do this review, firstly we're going to go just quickly over the keyboard itself, have a quick look at the features it has, we're going to go through the pros, the cons, just my general thoughts on the product, and we're going to finish with a typing test and then the conclusion. So taking a look around the keyboard, it's pretty simple. This one is just the 10 keyless design, meaning it doesn't have a num key. However, there is a similar model for a few dollars more that does have this. If you're working with numbers, I highly recommend it. Across the top row, we've got the shortcut keys, so just the standard stuff: mute, volume, next track, a few shortcut keys for email, internet, the Windows lock key, which prevents you from accidentally tabbing out of your games. And then we've got the backlight adjustment key and one for the calculator, as well as two here to adjust the backlight. So pretty simple design. You can see it's got some feet on the back. These just used to prop the keyboard up if you like to have it a bit more elevated when you type, that's fine. Okay. So let's go through the pros. Now, the pros. Now first off, this is a very cheap keyboard. Normally it runs between $38, $40-ish on Amazon, which is absolutely dirt cheap if you've done your research on mechanical keyboards. Now again, it is mechanical. A lot of companies will say mechanical feel, meaning that it's kind of similar to a mechanical keyboard, but it doesn't have the same clicky feedback that you get from a real one. Now, it's actually got a really solid, well-built design. It's got, I don't know if you can hear this, but that's an aluminium backplate, and that helps it keep really sturdy. The rest of it's finished with really sturdy feeling ABS plastic. Perhaps the one cheap thing I feel is just the cord they've got here. It's just pretty standard, and it is non-removable. Now, the keys won't wear out. They are, the way they're injection molded, I'm not sure if that's the right term, but basically they're transparent, so you'll never have to worry about the keys rubbing off like you will on some keyboards. I will mention that some of the keys do have markings on them, and I have noticed around the W, A, S, and D, if you can see those little arrows there, mine have started to wear off, but that's after some pretty heavy use, so nothing major there. The backlight goes nice and bright. It's quite dark in this room, so it's not really doing it justice, but it is actually quite a nice strong red, and even in the daytime it's noticeable and it's definitely there. Nighttime you'll probably want to turn it down as it can get quite bright. Out of the box it comes with an 18-month warranty, which is good to see from Reddragon. It's probably not a brand you've heard, but if you jump on the Amazon link in the description, you'll be able to see the feedback that I've got on their Amazon reviews, and it is largely positive. And it works on all operating systems. Because there's no drivers or anything with this keyboard, there won't be any compatibility issues, so you'll be able to run it off just about any USB compatible device. However, obviously with this cheap price tag, there are a few cons, and we're going to run through those now. So it's only got very basic lighting options. All you've got is just the option of your different brightness levels, which we can see here. Turn it back up. And we've got the option to breathe. And there's a breathing effect, and that's about it. Those are the two backlighting options you get. While this isn't great, that's kind of what you'd expect on such a cheap keyboard, and honestly, I don't really find the need to have anything more than that, especially on a keyboard with only a single color option available. Now, secondly, it may not be the most perfect keyboard if you're heavily into gaming, and the reason that is it's only offered in one switch. Now, they advertise the switch as being a Cherry MX Green. However, with about 55 grams of actuation force, it's more similar to a blue, I'd say. And you kind of have to experiment for yourself to figure out what works. I actually quite like this, and I'm very happy gaming with it. Definitely more so than my old membrane keyboard. However, some people might not like the feel of it for gaming, so it's definitely something you have to try out before you'll know that. Okay, so being a mechanical keyboard, this thing is very loud. We'll do a typing test for you shortly. But for example, if you've got your microphone close, or if you don't use a headset, people in, say, your Discord chat or your Skype can very easily get frustrated when you're typing, especially when you're trying to key something out pretty fast. It can get rather loud, which is something to keep in mind. So basically, just a small design flaw I've noticed, these feet here, when they're down, it's quite easy for the keyboard to slide around. When they're popped out, the keyboard actually grips really well, and you won't even be able to move it at all, which is awesome. I prefer to keep it elevated, so it's not a massive issue for me anyway, just something to keep in mind. Again, I've mentioned before, the cord's quite cheap, and unfortunately it's not removable, which isn't a major, I guess, considering the price tag. And as we mentioned before, it's non-programmable, so you're not going to be able to modify it or get individual keys to light up or anything like that. So there are a few different models of this. There's one with the numpad, there's one that offers some basic RGB color options, and there's even a cheaper model that doesn't have any lighting at all. However, you don't really save that much, so I'd recommend splashing a few extra dollars and getting the backlit version. Now, some may not like the design. I don't know if you can see the keys that well from there, but they're very gamer orientated with a very aggressive font. Personally, this isn't super ideal for me. However, it was so cheap, so I picked it up, and I really haven't regretted my purchase yet. So I've mentioned about the keys. There's only one. They're very similar to Blue keys, I'd say. Now, it's important to mention that they are not true Cherry MX Blue keys. They are a cheap Chinese clone. So basically, they have tried to emulate the design as best they can. And while they don't feel quite as good or as smooth as the original thing, I'd say they're more than worth it for the money. And to be honest, you probably won't really know what you're missing out on unless you've tried really expensive keyboards anyway. Okay. So we're going to go into a typing test now, and we'll have a look how it sounds. So I have a pretty weird typing style, so try not to make fun of me too much. And I've tried to keep the microphone a fair distance away just to give you an idea of what it's going to sound like through a microphone if you might use that. So if I just go into a word processing thing real quick. So as you can see, it's actually fairly loud. You know, if you're gaming and you're spamming the keys a lot, it can get quite loud. And at night time when your house gets quiet, this is quite noticeable. Definitely through any kind of Skype application that you may be using. So finally, let's talk about who this keyboard is suitable for and who it isn't. So I'd say if you're looking for a good entry-level mechanical keyboard, you'll find this is still priced pretty similar to a lot of other cheap ones made from brands like Corsair or Cooler Master. So I would highly recommend picking this up in place of those. The build quality is miles ahead, and I think even with the keys not being super ideal for gaming, you're going to get a much better feel than what you would from their keyboards anyway. For someone interested in doing a lot of numbers, spreadsheets, I'd definitely opt for the numpad. It's not a lot extra, I'll link in the description for that. And finally, anyone that's just interested in productivity, my typing speed's probably gone up 15-20% since using this. And I actually just really enjoy typing on a mechanical keyboard, I've found, so I can highly recommend that as well. So if you like what you've seen in your keen on this product, there will be a link in the description. I'll leave that with you, but I can highly recommend this product. So thanks for watching my video, guys, and take care.